and they asked me for the boat number. And I said, well, my birthday's 7/11, so I was number 7/11. That was a no-brainer. I'm not going to tell you what year, but and they said, well, what's the name of your boat? And I didn't have a name. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I looked around, and most of the names that you saw were pretty demonic: Widowmaker, Executioner, I'm going to eat your guts, and all this stuff. Yeah. So I just told somebody, I'm just going to call this thing the Duck. But it just so happened we'd run through a rainstorm and it was muddy and filthy, and somebody said, well, it's pretty dirty. And I said, all right, I'll call it the Dirty Duck.
The legend, the Hall of Famer, and the owner of the Dirty Duck, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's the only twin-engine skater to run over 200 miles an hour.
That is correct, and that's piston-driven, but that's the only skater to break 200.
That has to be something you are really proud of.
Very much so. That 200 mile an hour is a pretty exclusive club, and we got in there, and that's good. It's pretty exciting.
So if you don't know who is sitting right here next to me right now, this is Slug Hefner, who is originally from Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
That's correct.
And Nathan Maurer and I, who's, by the way, so graciously set this up, Nathan Maurer, PB Realty, Legacy Farm and Land, Good Boy Vodka, all the things. And we've been talking about doing this for a long time. And so I'm really glad that we got to do it here.
Absolutely.
This is like ground zero, especially for the Dirty Duck, right?
Yeah, it's been said 100 times, but you'd have to hate life not to like Lake of the Ozarks.
Slug, you'd be surprised. I have a rather large Lake of the Ozarks audience, and I take a lot of hate. You'd be surprised.
You take a lot of what?
A lot of hate.
Oh.
If you don't come to the lake and a table rocker, or you come from another lake in Missouri, for whatever reason, they seem to have like a redheaded stepchild mentality towards us. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, maybe. Of course, this is not a Corps of Engineers lake.
Correct.
So there's a lot of development, real estate, and houses on the water, and docks and marinas and stuff like that.
And you can run boats like this.
And you can run boats like this. There is no speed limit on the lake during the day. I think there's a 30 mile an hour speed limit at night.
Yeah. And actually, I would probably argue it needs to be a little lower than that. based on some of the accidents that have happened over the years. So, Slug, I'd love to let our audience get to know you. And we were just talking off camera. There's plenty of interviews out there about the boat and powerboat racing and all of the little intricacies of the boat, which I'm going to talk to the guys a little bit after we're done, but I'd love to get to know you. And Nathan's told me a lot about you, and again, you're born and raised Poplar Bluff?
Born and raised in Poplar Bluff, spent my entire life there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so obviously, in order to live this lifestyle and do these sorts of things, you found some success along the way. What would you attribute your success to?
Gee, I guess like anybody else or anything, hard work and surrounding yourself with good people.
That's a good answer. Now, what would you say, for those that don't know you, what was your core business?
I'm in the furniture and appliance business, grew up in that business, and done that all my life.
Really? Is that the only thing you've ever done, or do you have multiple businesses alongside?
Well, I've played with boats a little bit, bought and sold some boats. And at one time I played with quarter horses and bought and sold quarter horses.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems like there was always bartering or dealing with them some way.
Yeah. So when you were in the horse business, were you going to any of the big races? Were you racing those horses?
Show horses.
Show, okay.
Right.
Awesome. So you weren't taking any of the Derby or anything like that?
No. No. And the horses could bite and they could kick, and it didn't take me long to figure out that I needed to do something different.
A boat's not going to do that.
Well, it could, but you got a little bit more control on the boat.
It's true. That's true. The boat's just going to cost you a couple bucks to maintain.
Yeah, right.
So you said you grew up in the furniture business. Did you start the business, or did someone else?
Kind of a long story, but my grandfather started it in 1925.
Wow.
So we're having our 100th anniversary this year.
Wow, that's exciting.
And then my father took it over from him, and then my father actually sold the business to a corporation out of Memphis, Tennessee called Furniture Center. Okay. And they hired me to run the store and manage it, and I did that for 4 years, and then I bought the store back from them.
Oh, really?
So it's just a kind of a chain of events that
that's fantastic.
Unfolded.
I always hear those are some of the best business dealings, when you get bought and then you get to rebuy it back.
I think so. A lot of people think I inherited the thing or it was given to me, and that's not the case. I bought it and paid for it.
Yeah, I imagine. That's got some really deep history and a meaning, obviously, to your family. Totally off the cuff here, but I'm just curious. The furniture business, Have you felt the impact of the internet and online shopping and that sort of thing?
You deal with it, but we apparently have been pretty successful in dealing with it, and we have low price guarantees, and we encourage everybody to come into the store because we have Missouri's largest selection. We have just about all the top name brands. The value is what I think most people are after.
Yeah, I imagine it probably doesn't hurt that you're in a smaller community.
Poplar Bluff is a smaller community. Having said that, they've got a very wide trade area. I mean, we go to Cape and Dexter and Sykeston and Malden and Jonesboro, and we have a store in Farmington, so we get into St. Louis quite a bit.
Yeah, you're not that far from St. Louis.
No.
So you go and achieve success in the furniture business. You go mess around with horses. What led you to boats?
I actually grew up with boats. And
where? What lake?
Wapapella.
Okay.
15 miles from Poplar Bluff.
Okay, yeah.
And just kind of grew up and developed my likes in the boats as I grew older, and started messing with some hot rod boats, and then it just kept on going.
So Wapapella was a core lake, obviously not near the traffic you get at the Lake of the Ozarks. What type of boats were you able to run at Wapapella?
The boat I grew up with was I don't even remember the name, but it was a wooden hull and had a cuddy cabin, and it had like a 60-horse Johnson outboard. And it had no trim on it, so if we were going to try to trim it out, either myself or my buddies would get on the back of the boat and hang on the motor to get more of the boat out of the water.
Yeah.
The less boats in the water, the faster you go, because water is friction,
yeah,
and it slows you down.
Yeah. That's fascinating, and I could only imagine if we had cameras back then and we got to document that. That would be good.
I'd like to have that.
Yeah, that would be viral. That would be viral. Okay, so you started there, and then kind of what was that progression? Like, how did it go?
Went to what they call the flat bottoms, such as boats as racing craft, and they were V-drive inboards and propeller driven. We thought we were running 100 miles an hour. We were probably running 80, 75 or 80, which is pretty respectable for way back then and on water. And then this progressively moved forward.
That's awesome. What would you say was the turning point boat that led you to this?
I started out in formal racing, organized races with drag boats. And the first drag boat race I went to, I ran 87 miles an hour.
Wow. What year was this, do you think?
Oh gosh, 92.
Okay.
Kept going faster and faster and faster, and I was running the mid 140s, and a friend of mine had an accident and lost his life doing that. So we went to capsule boats, which are the enclosed canopies, which gives you some protection if you have an accident.
Yeah.
Then I got interested in the offshore boats because I came to Lake of the Ozarks. And saw that, and a gentleman by the name of Randy Sissom, who has Marine Technology, MTI, he and I got to know each other and got to be friends, and he built my first offshore boat. And that boat made the cover of Powerboat magazine. It made the cover of the DuPont Registry. Hot Boat magazine did a feature article on it, and had a lot of fun with that boat. And that boat would run mid 130s, but it was 40 foot long.
Wow.
And
that's short for going that fast.
Yeah, and my buddy Greg McCauley called it the SS Minnow from Gilligan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then ordered an offshore race boat and started racing that. Just kept on going.
So, and then fast forward to where we are today, tell us the story about how you acquired Dirty Duck and kind of where we are today.
Well, I need to invent a more exciting story. The fact of the matter, the first organized drag boat race, I went to register, and they asked me for the boat number. And I said, well, my birthday's 7/11, so I was number 7/11. That was a no-brainer. I'm not going to tell you what year, but, and they said, well, what's the name of your boat? And I didn't have a name. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I looked around, and most of the names that you saw were pretty demonic: Widowmaker, Executioner, I'm going to eat your guts, and all this stuff. Yeah. So I just told somebody, I'm just going to call this thing the Duck. But it just so happened we'd run through a rainstorm and it was muddy and filthy, and somebody said, well, it's pretty dirty. And I said, all right, I'll call it the Dirty Duck. And then since then we came up with the Flashing Duck and different things like that.
That's
so
fantastic.
Had a lot of fun with it.
That's fantastic.
And truthfully, I think the bottom line on any kind of motorsports or any kind of sports, it's got to be fun. It's hard work. It takes a lot of work to get these things to do what they do. Yeah. But if it's fun, it's fun. Yeah.
And what a lot of people that aren't familiar with this sport don't know is that boats like this, American Ethanol, were built, purchased specifically for this one race.
True. The ethanol boat, that boat's run in Oklahoma a couple times. In fact, I drove the boat in Oklahoma and I drove it here. But most of the times they're limited events.
Yeah.
And this is handy for me and it's handy for ethanol, but the event's one a year.
Yeah.
But like last year, we had a little issue with the motor. We weren't making full power going through the lights, and within a week after the event, we had the motors out. We just got the boat put together last week. I mean, we
just in time.
Yeah, we sent the motors to California for Carson Brummett, who does the motor work.
Yep.
And they were out there during those fires, and I thought I was going to lose my motors.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, pretty scary, but it missed us. And but it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And then you can't just go out and test like the day we met at 8 o'clock, a little before 8, where we could make a pass before any boat traffic caused the water to have wakes and stuff.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't think a lot of people realize that to do that, you just go out here at the lake and there's no like designated area. You just got to go find a quiet spot. You got to get out early in the morning, and that's kind of how it works.
That's how it works. That's exactly how it works. And you learn a lot, and you learn from your experience, and you learn from different things. And like that boat, the geometry on the boat seems to be perfect. Now I said that it'll do something squirrely, but so far we've run 202, and it just took a good set and didn't do anything goofy.
So what are the specs on this boat? What's the length of it? What type of boat?
It's a skater. They call it a 438, which is 43 foot long.
Okay.
And it's about 12 and a half, and it's got a 60-inch tunnel in it. And the ironic part about this particular boat, I did not buy the boat new. Some people bought it and bought it for a Super Cat class, which is an offshore class, and it didn't work. The limited power they had, they could only make 1,100 horse each side, which that's 2,200. These motors are making 2,300 each. Picked this boat up with a tilt trailer and then found another boat that somebody had with Carson's motors in it and bought it used. Cannibalized that boat, took the drives and the motors and the what have you, had to refresh and everything up, but put it all together and it worked.
It's a cheap hobby, huh?
I'm sorry?
It's a cheap hobby, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
How many times have you driven the boat?
Have I driven this boat?
Yeah.
One time.
One time?
One time. I had shoulder replacement, and I'm still not over it yet. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it takes a lot of agility to get in and out of these things.
Yeah.
And these, I call them young flat bellies. The fastest I've gone on water driving is 217 miles an hour. That's how fast I've gone. And that was in the offshore boat. The drag boat, I've run 180 in 5.1 seconds. So I've had my day, I've had my thrill.
Sure.
Right now I enjoy the team. I enjoy putting on the show. I enjoy it's kind of an ego trip. You get bragging rights. You know, last year we were the second place boat. We won our class.
Yeah.
We were top gun in our class. And we set that record, and we still hold that record. So that's a sense of accomplishment. And everybody gets along, and the camaraderie is good.
Can you explain that real quick, the class?
Class?
Yeah.
Twin engine, piston driven, and in the mid 40-foot boats, it's a class. And they got a long number, kind of a word salad number.
Yeah.
What it is.
How many boats were in the class?
I think there were 3 or 4 in that particular class. Now you got to remember, you're really not competing with your class per se. You're competing overall.
Yeah.
Like they were right at 100 boats, and we had the second fastest speed in the whole event.
Yeah.
We mentioned Lake of the Ozarks. Lake of the Ozarks is kind of the mecca for hot rod boats.
Yeah.
They come from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we even had people from, I think, Sweden or Switzerland last year.
Norway.
Norway.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Norway, they've come from all over the place. And it's continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Shootout is it's the Super Bowl of powerboat racing.
It is, and it's well organized, and it's legit. And what I mean by that is they don't mess with the timing lights or the radar, that your speeds are accurate.
Yeah.
And they enforce this starting limit. You can't run faster than 40 miles an hour on this when you go into what they call the starting box. And if you do, you're going to run faster on the big end because you've got more momentum. They're pretty stringent on that, and they run a tight ship, which I like because that way somebody can't go out and fudge and cheat and get a big number when they really didn't deserve it.
Yeah. It is fascinating when I'll post like an American ethanol run like last year, and I'll post it and I'll say, you know, the time was 2:20 or whatever it was, and you'd be shocked at how many people come into the comments. There's no way that boat's going 200 miles, maybe 100, and it's like the look of it going across the water, I guess, doesn't appear to be as fast as it really is. What would you say to that?
I'd say it goes that fast.
Yeah.
The ironic part, and I got to be careful how I say this because I don't mean it to be offensive to anybody or anybody's boat, but the sensation of speed in the drag boat is much greater than on the big boat.
Yeah.
Because the big boats, you've got all that stuff around you and you're actually floating on air.
Yeah.
And the drag boat's a hydroplane, and you're by yourself in a drag boat and you're strapped in so tight you can't hardly breathe. And then when you nail that thing, it comes up, it's down, and in 5 seconds you're done. So it just seems like you're going faster. Having said that, the big boats, like the ethanol boat or this boat, they're running over 200 miles an hour. That's legit. That's on the radar guns, and they do their thing.
What's the goal this year?
I mean, as far as how fast we're going to...
Yeah. Well, what are all the goals? But yes, that's, of course, is
the goal, we want to be safe. We want to be careful. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We want to put on a good show. We want to meet a lot of new friends. There's a lot of people, lots and lots of people that work very hard and long to put this event on. So this want a good event that's show-worthy and what have you. As far as how fast we're going to run, we should be north of 200. I don't want to say how much.
Fair enough. Is there a number that you kind of have that you're like, eventually I want to hit that? Like, you had 200 was the number. Now you've hit it. Is there another number that's like, I'd really love to hit that? Or is just above 200 kind of the limit?
I don't know that there's another number. I've got out of humor, I've got a speed limit sign on the back of that boat saying speed limit 217. And I did that to rub it in Don Auckland's face because that was set on a mile-long course and went to 3/4 mile, and he hadn't done it. But then the smart aleck came back and ran that 220-something. And I've got to tell you, I sent him and John Kosker, who throttled the boat and who built the boat, I sent them a little duck in a hand making a nice little gesture to him. We have a lot of fun. It comes back to fun. And a lot of these people that do these boats, they're perfectionists and they're proud of it, and it's an ego thing. You don't make a dime. You don't make any money.
It costs you
a
great
costs,
deal of money.
It costs a lot. But you get bragging rights. Like in the old days, I got the fastest car in town, or I got the fastest go-kart.
That's how the shootout started.
Yep.
That's fascinating. So what's next for Slug?
Get through the shootout, and then go from there and see. I may sell this boat and get some kind of a turbine boat. I don't know that yet, but there's one floating around that may be available.
Like the Spirit of Qatar type boat?
Yes. Yeah.
If you're not familiar, that is the current record holder on the mile course, and really the record holder.
The record.
Yeah.
I think it was 244 miles an hour.
I believe so.
But those are helicopter motors. Those are jet engines. They make like 7,000 horsepower apiece. So when it goes through the piston-driven, that's a piston-driven. That's what you run on Saturday night on the streets and what have you.
Yeah.
And
it's a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah. And I told Don that he's got 4 motors and we got 2, so we really should get a handicap. So he told me if I'd take 2 of my motors out, he'd take 2 of his.
That's a good response.
That is a good response. Yeah, Don's a man of few words, but he's funny as he can be.
That's funny. That's awesome. And we're sitting here on, this is your boat as well, Mystic?
That is correct.
Yeah, this is a center console. How long is this boat?
42 foot.
It's a beautiful boat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Slug, I think I have been beckoned to go talk to the boys that operate this thing. We'll get a little interview down inside the cockpit there.
Oh yeah, you'll have fun inside the cockpit.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I look forward to seeing you at the street party, seeing you out there on Saturday and Sunday. And
it is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Where are you watching from when you're at the actual
Probably
races?
Out by the course on this boat. If there's a problem that need to tow the boat, we'll be there and what have you.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be moving all around on some boat, doing content and stuff. I will make sure I come over and harass you guys.
We'll do, and we'll make sure we give you a quacker. The little noise makers, quackers.
I need one of those.
And I have been scolded dozens of times by parents that will come up and say, don't give my kids another quacker. Okay.
I've got a first grader. I can already tell you my wife's going to be like, why did you bring that home?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say because it's the dirty duck.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Serafine, running the Dirty Dock with Rusty Williams at the Shootout this year.
What is your background in boat racing?
Not a lot of boat racing. I spent a lot of time in fast boats, a lot of time with Rusty. I spent a lot of time in this boat in particular, running it, and the Shootout is something I've always wanted to do. Very fortunate for the opportunity for this to come together and to happen this year.
That's awesome. What is your background?
I'm a real estate developer from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have a house here at the lake. Been coming down here for 12 or 13 years. Spent a lot of time in the water here. This is my home away from home, and probably will be my home not too far down the road.
Official retirement. So you come from the land of 10,000 lakes and you leave the land to come to Missouri.
Everyone asks that question. Lake of the Ozarks is unlike any other place in the world.
Yep.
It's somehow become the powerboat capital of the country and probably the world. arguably. This is a great place for us to come down and run the boats or, go up the lake and hide for the afternoon. So you kind of have it all here.
What's the fastest you've ever piloted a boat?
It'd be this one. We ran it up to about 196 earlier this morning. So
Today. So you're ready to
seen a lot of high speeds, but 196 and this one is the top speed.
Awesome. Well, Rusty tells me we're going to go over 200 in the shootout, so
That's the rumor.
I love it. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Rusty Williams, thanks for having me in here, man. This is pretty cool. This is I have to say, this is my first time ever sitting in the cockpit of one of these things.
Yeah.
So you are the all-important throttle man.
Yeah. So a little bit about my background is I've been around powerboats all my life, testing, running, doing all that. I started racing in 2019, a super stock boat.
Okay.
So we run 300s on that boat and race with up to 18 boats on an actual course, run about 60 miles on a course. And Slug came to Myrick and I a couple years back and asked us if we'd like to run this boat. This boat was originally the MCon Super Cab boat.
That's right.
That the Slug acquired. And me and Myrick were excited and nervous all at the same time and agreed to do it. So
That's pretty awesome. What are your background? Like, what do you do for a living?
I work at Performance Boat Center and I'm in sales.
So you're slinging these boats. Not these, but
Yep.
other beautiful ones.
I've been at Performance for 15 years now. I was the one that oversaw all the construction and building the place.
Oh, wow.
I was running the marina when we had a marina before it came to what it is now. And then once everything got developed, all the buildings got built, the restaurants got built, I transitioned into helping sales, doing deliveries and demos, and eventually got into sales. And I've been doing sales for probably 6 years now.
Fascinating. So were you here before Redhead was even here?
Yeah. I was with Mark and Brett when they acquired the property. And then I ran that property for a little over a year before we broke ground, meaning it was a marina that we had rental slips and stuff of that nature. So I've been around for a while.
That's awesome. So for somebody who doesn't understand this sport, and I think and I'm definitely a novice, I've just kind of gotten thrust into this through content, ironically. And, when I think about driving a boat, this is what I think about.
Yeah.
But when you're driving a boat like this, it takes two.
Yeah.
And so when I'm driving my boat, I'm the throttle man and the pilot, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain kind of how that works to somebody who doesn't know?
On the shootout course, a boat of this caliber, it's like I'm working on trying to get it on plane, try not to blow out the props, and get it trim set and up to 40 miles an hour before the start finish line. So I really need to concentrate on RPMs, trim. So I work my tunnel tab to help it get on plane. I work my drives, make sure they don't blow out, blow in, and I'm doing all that stuff. So what Adam is concentrating on is getting us circled around and lined up with the course. And obviously we have helmets on, we have communication, so he can question me and I can talk to him, and we could talk even as good as this because there's no noise because we're wearing helmets. But his duty is just get us circled around, lined up, and straight with that course. So say we came in the course sideways and he had to turn the boat during the middle of the course, he's scrubbing speed and also just not making a good pass. So if we don't make it through those two exit buoys on the other end, say we miss one or something of that nature, we're disqualified. So when I say in any race boat, it's 100% 50-50. So even in my super stock boat, I run the throttles and he drives, but there's no way I could do it without him.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, it sounds like, and it almost sounds like, just the way you describe it, he's steering, you're doing everything else. It doesn't sound 50-50 when you describe it that way.
It's 50-50, yeah. It's 50-50. So without him, you couldn't do it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. At what speed is that necessary to have two guys?
Any race environment, so not necessarily speed. So you can go out and, a new 4082 MTI by yourself and with 6 of your friends and wide open lake and run 170 miles an hour. So it's not that, it's when you put yourself in a closed environment with other boats around and anytime there's a course.
Got it.
So, you gotta be paying attention to just a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Most of the time on the track when we're running, I'll be looking down versus actually looking out on the water.
You're looking at all the electronics and stuff.
Yep, my trim, my RPMs, my speed, water pressure, everything. So.
Yeah. So Slug didn't want to give me a number because he hit his number, which was 200. Adam, I don't even think I asked him the question. I did ask you the question off the record. What's the goal this year? And then the second question is, what's an ultimate goal?
Obviously, our goal this year is just to break 202 and do it safely. So our main focus is to go out there, put on a good show, run over 202, and do it safely.
Any bigger long-term goals?
No, not really.
Really just go take 1 year at a time
Yeah.
to get through. So just keep breaking the record every year.
Yeah.
At some point that's got to come to a stop.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. you know, the capabilities of this boat could be reached, so we don't want to reach those. So,
What is that?
I mean, I would not want to go 220 in this boat.
Yeah, well, everybody knows what happened out in Havasu.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
awesome, man. Well, good luck this year. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for showing us around here, and man, I look forward to having more conversations.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
man.